Good morning, everyone. This update covers the final stages of the CRADA project, a quick review of our recent stove test data, and exciting news regarding the formal publication of our research. Our focus today is on wrapping up the project and preparing for the next phase of collaboration. First, the CRADA project is essentially complete. All development work on the data acquisition system is finished. We are now solely waiting the final report review before formally closing out this phase. The primary goal for the next 2 weeks is to ensure the final report meets all technical specifications for a scientific publication. It will then be published to the world by the end of the year, we hope. Our recent stove test was conducted specifically to demonstrate the system's capabilities in a real-world environment, and the data is highly encouraging. The goal of this test is to provide the dataset necessary for the science paper research program that Noel is co-authoring. The key feature of this test is the fan-cooled camera work. This allows to capture high-fidelity visual data of the combustion process without the camera unit overheating. We'll see how we did. I wanted to get closer shots. I have a camera that has a wide-angle lens and no focus, and I wanted to get really good view. I knew that getting my camera too close to the fire or the wood stove does tend to soften some of the points on the camera, and they re-solidify in different shapes. So it's not unknown to me to have a droopy camera after a film recording. So I'm working on a cooling system, a fan, so I can get closer to the fire and get better wide-angle shots of the flames. This small FoPro camera, it's like a GoPro camera in size and format, but it's not a GoPro camera. It has a little trouble with color balance, and I have to do some things to make the fire look like my eye sees it, and the quality of the image is not the best. However, it is one of the cameras I can get close. The smoke sensing part of the system is what the University of Berkeley has been working on, and we've been working on measuring opacity. This is the blue line in the chart. And it's working quite well. This is the first 1 hour of data. This is when a wood stove is going to make the most smoke on startup. It's exempt from emissions for about 20 minutes, and so you have to get your fire up to temperature and non-smoking as quickly as possible, and I believe we did that today. This is our opacity chart, opacity. So it's the obstruction of light that the smoke creates. You're not supposed to have more than 20% for 6 consecutive minutes. That would be an illegal burn. And so we measure the opacity over time to have a record of what our stove was emitting as far as emissions of smoke. It's a real-time measurement. There's almost 1 per second. And we have opacity up to 45 measured for a few minutes, and then a spike at 15 at about 45 minutes, and then a little spike to 30 at 2 hours. Other than that, everything is flat on the line. Good opacity readings. These are well regarded by science. It's understood. It's intuitive. People understand what opacity is. This is the wavelength chart. So as the light goes through the smoke, the receiver, the sensor, records a small change in the color of the light. And this is, to a fine degree, it can measure this stuff. We provide a very stable light source. It has the same color and the same intensity, and we record those two items. The wavelength of the light is the change in the peak color. It starts out at about 417, and then it goes through thick smoke, and it goes up a shift to the red. We call it color shift, but this chart is the actual wavelength of the light received. And it's as good a data as the opacity data. It's not quite as intuitive, and we're not 100% sure what this causes. We do see stuff in this data, so it's almost as good as the opacity data in that the timing of the peaks is very similar to the opacity, and I believe we are seeing a Tyndall effect. Small particles are being measured by this. However, we really can't say that on a scientific basis. Now, on to the cold camera work or the cooled camera work. This camera is recording in 2K and it's enlarged a little bit to fill the frame. It's the very first 5 minutes of the fire and we're looking at what's going on. I build a small house or a small structure within my wood stoves and put all the kindling fuel in the center, and I use my combustion air control system to feed the fire, get it growing in the box fast and producing little smoke. So this camera, I have to correct for the color. The color's not quite right. It has the coals as bright pink and purple. It's got a color balance problem. So I correct for that to fit what my eye sees, and then I transition to my Sony camera. Now that's what a fire should look like. The Sony has a much better Carl Zeiss lens and a better sensor. It really captures the luminescence of the flames and the motion of the flames. Now, in this wood stove, the flames are controlled by a combustion air system, and that makes the flames kind of dance in that little pattern that you might be able to see. And it works well. It makes the fire not smoke much and keeps it in a nice comfortable zone in the wood stove. So this is the latest technology in wood stove design, is combustion air control for your wood stove and good camera work. When you're developing a suite of products to do something, you're always working on some aspect of it. Well, this month I was working on these things called velocity stacks. Now, I didn't find much benefit in them. I think they look cool, but I was getting us 1% static pressure, a little loss in flow, but my partner said, I can't hear the fan anymore, and that is why I'm using them now. So this is the end of the video where I just ramble. I don't have any script or anything. The Sony camera just does a great job with the video. I have to get it so close. Even with my cooling system, I melted the basil a little bit. But the wide angle view helps me get a good view of the interaction of the combustion air fan and the flames, and I think it's doing a fine job. I could stare into this flame for hours and hours. And it's keeping the temperature in the Goldilocks zone, so the control system's working good, and we really didn't smoke this wood stove that much. Now, like and subscribe. Keep watching my stuff, because it's the one thing that keeps me going. And have a nice day.